my name's Will. This is my 1998 Toyota Chaser Tour V. It's a Series 1. You know, growing up with Fast and the Furious and Need for Speed and, you know, all that sort of stuff, I have a story similar to so many others where you just kind of fall in love with the whole JDM car scene and just Japanese cars in general. My preference has kind of always been sort of, you know, manual, rear-wheel drive and turbo. And then as I started to kind of learn more about engines and whatnot, I fell in love with the whole, you know, innately balanced straight six. So, I mean, I used to be kind of in love with Skylines, and then eventually I kind of started to switch over to more of a Toyota fanboy.
All right, you guys. Wow, this is a special build. This is not a build I take lightly. The amount of hours spent on paint alone, bodywork, paint, details, interior, exterior, and not to mention, this is a hugely collaborative effort. Fresh paint jobs make me incredibly nervous. Welcome back, you guys. Today we are in Will's JZX100 Chaser, one of the final 90s era's greats, of course. It is absolutely one of the cleanest and well put together Chasers, JZX100s, period, that I've seen in the Lower Mainland, but it's also just fraught with a number of exclusive parts, period correct parts, and custom parts that just kind of make a build that comes together. First off, I'm sitting in really, really cool Recaros. I've never seen these before. They've got kind of like a cool checkered pattern on them, but they're not like the confetti style that we've seen in some of the other Recaros and whatnot. But they do have, this is one of the greatest touches in the interior. I think it's my favorite, but they're heated and cooled. Heated and cooled. They have these cool little control units on the sides here that literally, I mean, there is a couple of centimeters between the door and the controls here, but they are cooled. Near factory, 1JZ-VVTi. Muffler's not loud at all here, which is kind of nice, kind of goes along with Will's mentality in the build here. Yeah, that's sideways. Wow, second gear goes up to 120 in these things?
Dude, they got long gears, man.
That's ridiculous.
The big kind of thing about the build is really exercising as much restraint as I could, where, you know, I'm not doing wide body, I didn't even pull the fenders. I just love the clean stock body lines of this car. It's just simple and elegant. On the other side of things, you know, I'm an artist and a graphic designer. That's what I do for work. So a super important lesson you learn in university, one of the first things you learn is really restraining yourself, leaving negative space, giving the eye some space to breathe. So that's something I really tried to incorporate into this build, where, you know, the color is more subtle, even the accent color isn't crazy. You know, I went with a simple 10-spoke Wedsport wheel. Body lines aren't nuts. There's no crazy roll cage or interior, you know, racing seats, kind of curating the build with that focus. Yeah, I absolutely love this Origin Lab Stream front bumper, but I wasn't as big a fan of the side skirts and rear bumper that came with it. For a couple of reasons. For the skirts, I wasn't a huge fan of how they kind of flared way out. It felt a little bit aggressive for me, kind of like a quarter pipe almost. And my big issue with the rear bumper was that the problem with a lot of the full rear bumpers for JZXs is they go over top of this body line here. And I really like the clean rear lip, especially when it's affixed with urethane like this. Super clean, super simple.
Nice blow-off noises here. Actually, Will was showing me this button down here. So he's got a really cool system. If I hit the button there, what'll happen is it goes back to recirc. So he actually has a switch that enables him to go from recirc to a blow-off valve. I've never seen that before. I lean more towards, hey, just keep it recirc. Don't have an obnoxious blow-off valve if you don't need it, if your power does not require it. But, ooh, it corners really nicely. Am I worried about rock chips right now? Yes, but at the same time, has PPF, it has ceramic coating, so wow, brakes are phenomenal. Supra brake upgrade I've never experienced on a JZX chassis before. Really tight. Cusco sway bars, front and rear. In my experience, that's really all the Chaser needs. In factory form, the Chaser, as sporty as it is still like, especially the Tourer V trim package here that had optional, I'm glad to see Will has them here, the swing vents, which are really cool, and a few other trim items like a leather steering wheel if you had that. This material here you see, that was also an option on the Tourer V. Even though the Chaser, you guys know, as a drift icon, but it is definitely still a luxury car. So what I found is do not cheap out on coilovers in a JZX car. You will regret it. You'll be bouncing everywhere. And if you do any kind of spirited driving on the street where your goal and your intention is to not get sideways all the time, but is just to enjoy the balance of the car and rolling through the gears, going through the corners, I would suggest, you know, just the basics. Do your bushings, do your sway bars, and reduce that body roll as much as possible. All right, you guys, we're now here at Tru-Line Autobody in Port Moody, BC. Beautiful location. If you guys don't know Port Moody, lots of breweries around here, lots of places to walk and to bike, and just a great atmosphere. The perfect spot for some intoxicated individuals to potentially trip into your wet paint. No, I'm just kidding. Behind me here is Will's Chaser JZX 100. They have done an incredible custom paint job on this car. We're gonna talk to Hammer and see what his experience was in painting this car and delivering it to Will, who also provided a little bit of his own artistic kind of abilities and his own vision over on the backside of Tru-Line, which we can go take a look at as well. So let's go.
I'm Hammer, owner of Tru-Line Autobody. Been doing body work for about 10 or so years. My specialty is working on really high-end cars for the last 8 or so years. A lot of custom pieces like this, just a lot of fun stuff. I'm a car enthusiast, so this is what we do. This is what we love to do.
I partnered with Hammer to work on a project together where I did a mural on the back of his shop, and in exchange he did this beautiful Hockenheim Silver paint job on my Chaser.
This guy, his vision, seriously, like he came to me. Funny enough, so I opened this business and I'd always wanted a mural. I just like, it's something so cool. It's always kind of just stood out to me. I get an email from him in my first week of ownership of the business. He emails me, he's like, I've got mural services in exchange for some work. If you're interested, looked at his website and I was like, oh, that's sweet. Reached out to him and he came down, we went over some ideas, and he showed me the mural and he came to me with a vision. He's like, Hammer, this is my car. He showed me the car. It was already clean. It was a beautiful Chaser already. Like, it didn't really need all of this. It was already so nice, but he's like, I want to take it to the next level. I think you had 2 colors at that time.
That's right.
Kind of,
yes.
We were bouncing back and forth between. I don't know why. Yeah. Why'd you choose it? Like, I love it. I'm in love with it.
So when we first were kind of contemplating what color to go with, we were kind of bouncing back and forth between this and the new Toyota Supra color, one of the pearls. And also, you know, everybody kind of calls the JZX chassis kind of the Japanese M5s. So I thought that was kind of a nice, funny little tie-in to have that kind of Euro BMW reference in there as well.
I'll tell you, the white would have been a lot easier. Seriously, it would have been so much easier.
Even though it was a pearl.
Even though it was a pearl, it was a tri-coat, but because of the color change, like this thing was taken down to like a go-kart. Like there was nothing left on the car except for literally the quarter panel, and all the doors were off, fenders were off, but
it was a Jeep status.
it was but it was well worth
off
it
the
because
car.
I mean, look at it now, right? So
So they tryna block all my blessings. They thought I lost a stepping. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm repping. Put on for the whole city. Yeah, I got
I was looking for that in the future. I figured that was gonna be year 2, year 3 of business. Let's get dialed in. Let's figure out what business is. Let's at least see if this thing's gonna work, and then we'll do some cool stuff. We'll do some murals inside. I got a wicked wall in the back with great exposure to the streets, the SkyTrain, the train, and it honestly, everything kind of just, it came together. Like, we didn't even plan it. He emailed me and I was like, I'm in, let's do it. And he sent me a rendering. Like, we went over some ideas. I kind of just gave him artistic freedom because I knew that's what he was about. I was like, well, just make something nice, make it look cool, make it look kind of artsy. Nothing too related to Autobody, but just something cool. He gave me one rendering and I was like, let's go. It was perfect. It fits now and it looks good. You see all the gaps are nice. You know, it lines up, but it wasn't like that. I've got probably like 10 hours into fitting the bumper alone. And then the skirts, because these skirts aren't made to look like this. They're made to look fully tucked in. It's a whole different look, but Will's vision, he's like, Hammer, we want everything to kind of come out so it comes nicely like that. And I'm like, man, this is not meant for that. I don't even know how we're gonna do that. So lots of long nights, man. We were here till midnight, 1 a.m., just mocking it up, making sure it was gonna work.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're not even mentioning all the like detail work you went to. Like, Hammer went in and he was cutting out little segments of here. So
Just to make the gaps perfect.
yeah, exactly. When you open the door, you know how pretty much every fiberglass aftermarket body kit, the doors hit on the skirts here. He went to just way over and above just to cut little notches out of the kit so it fits perfectly. The whole kit is urethaned on, so there's no gaps, there's no hardware installed. You can see in the wheel wells here, nothing, no bolts, nothing like that.
We wanted to keep it very clean in that regard.
Yeah.
Even if you look at the rear, the front, everything's clean. You look in the wheel wells, if you're on a car show, you're not gonna see any hardware. That was the idea, to keep it super clean that way. So we just took our extra time and just dialed it in just right.
It's all in the details.
All in the details, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, the torque's great. VVTi in these cars have always aired, I mean, you guys know, on the side of kind of low-end torque. In the 20 and the 25, the RB series, it is all mid and top range. Especially, I mean, the Neo head fixes that a little, quote unquote, fixes that a little bit for both economy and low-end torque. The 1J, I've always just been surprised with a single turbo from the factory, how torquey it is. I don't find myself, I mean, hence drift car, right? But I don't usually find myself revving the shit out of them all the way to 7. But you can. Nice pop from the exhaust there. Super smooth. So a few months ago, we shot with our friend Dave from Dave's Powder Coating over in Brookswood, Langley. He's done a lot of powder coating on Will's car here. He did the brake calipers, which, by the way, Supra brake upgrade from a Mark IV Supra. So Dave did a lot of the powder coating. He matched the calipers with a beautiful, I don't know what the color is called exactly, but I think it was a gray base coat, and then it's been topped off with a kind of bronzy orange color. Looks really cool. It's got a whole bunch of flake in it. The shift knob's done in it. The fire extinguisher is also matching that. To see like the exchange of art for more art, right? The boundaries of art do not exist in my eyes. So to see a mutual exchange of one-of-a-kind pieces of expertise is something that we need to see more of here in the car community. And it's a perfect match. It's such a good color. They did such a great job there. And that takes an incredible amount of trust, which I can absolutely get behind. So
Yeah. My first car was a, like you say, an RB25 swapped S13. It had, larger upgraded brakes from the 300ZX and a whole bunch of other goodies on it. And, a crazy car to own when you first start driving. So, as much as doing donuts and ripping around was, as much fun as that was, you could easily get yourself into a whole lot of trouble and ruin your super precious new car. So I don't know if I'd recommend it, but it was a hell of an experience, that's for sure. So one thing I did here is I have a little wireless phone charger kind of built in there, so you just toss your phone in there, close her up, and your phone will be charged by the time you're at your destination. So that's a really nice thing. I do like driving the car and really pushing it. I've done everything I can to set it up so it's super stable and it corners well, it brakes well. There's been, most of the focus has kind of been on suspension, brakes, chassis stiffening, stuff like that, so that I can really drive it hard and enjoy it without, feeling at risk of ruining it, sort of thing. So yeah, I love ripping around, twisty roads on it. I just drove to Calgary. Mind you, I did have to lift the front end up an inch just to, preserve my front bumper. Art is a tricky thing where there's no quantifiable growth to a business when you add some artwork to it, be it, a rebranding or web design or like a mural in my case. So I really appreciate those guys taking a leap and contributing to this build. Yeah, no, and it's a great experience just building these relationships with these, quality human beings. It's awesome.
Anyways, you guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. This is a rare evening shoot here. We're out on one of my favorite roads, one of my favorite views. Hit me up on Instagram at Roads Untraveled. Again, you can follow Will, you can go follow Hammer and Tru-Line down below. And we will see you guys very soon